So long-term effects of instant gratification. Now, this is going to create a high tolerance for entertainment. What does that mean? Basically, there's going to be a level of consumption where you're consuming so much content, so much information, so much light. You're going to become inundated by the sheer amount of information. It's going to feel like you're drowning in information. And once you reach that point, you'll start to siphon off some of these sources and start to really hone in on what resonates with you. But that's a long-term process. That's not an instant process. What is instant is the entertainment, the consumption, what's being consumed. But the long-term effects is what you have to forecast out for, because if you're not forecasting out for that, then everything you're doing now, you're essentially doing blindly because you're not doing it with a forecast mentality. So another thing that comes with instant gratification is disassociation with the natural process. I myself have a perfect example with Amazon. Amazon has gotten me to a point mentally to where if anything takes longer than 2 days shipping, it's almost outrageous. I almost don't want it. I'll almost go out of my way to look for something on Amazon just because of that convenience factor. And when you realize a lot of people are seeking convenience in so many areas of their life, whether it be their family, their job, their career, they're seeking some form of a safe haven where they can rest and be content. But it's hard to create that when you live in a world that is based on instant gratification and everything is moving at 5,000 miles per hour. Why? Because you're moving so fast, you can't actually slow down and stop to see what's going on. You can't stop to see the characters that are repeating the same lines, and you can't see how you're in the same position, and despite your best hopes and best efforts for different, you continuously get the same. And this is because you're continuously engaged into that instant gratification feedback loop. So the other and probably the biggest area that I see with instant gratification is that creativity becomes quantified, or at least it is attempted to become quantified. And what I mean by that is that people try to place creativity in this box as if it is not wild in every essence. And throughout time, you see these artists that defy some standards, some status quo, whether it be a record, just an area that hasn't been experienced before, right? You see these pioneers who go through and they break these illusions of limitations, and they allow people to push forward, and they act as a bridge, and those people come across on their backs, the backs of those individuals who sacrificed for those higher levels of consciousness and expressed it through art. Now, these could be seen as our industry leaders, right? The people that are leading the industry. And in essence, these are the actors that were selected to play the roles of those motivational characters, those villains. Everything is a movie playing out in real time. So for instance, if you are the main actor in your movie, you are also at the same time an extra in somebody else's movie when you're at the grocery store, and you you pass by a person, and again, they got a whole different set of circumstances and an entirely different environment. But in that brief moment, your two universes collide, and in that instant, there is this synchronicity that you're in the same place at the same time, and therefore you are an extra in their movie and they are an extra in yours. Now, instant gratification It reprograms the mind into thinking that everything has to be okay at all times. And this is highly contradictory to the human belief system, because the Western philosophy has adopted this mentality of grind harder and kind of put emotions on the back seat. And if emotions are being represented as the divine feminine, the resurgence of the divine feminine is causing a resurgence of emotional based work. And emotional based work is not something that can be done in an instant. If, for instance, we're talking about healing 30 something years of trauma with the patient or with the client, that cannot be done in an instant, because it is a complex, layered, contradictory system that is our individual matrix or matrices. And these belief systems, our individual matrix, is what we believe to be true. However, when we operate from a fundamental frequency of instant gratification, again, we speed up and we get put onto the world's timeline versus following our timeline. And so we begin to put ourselves into this comparison game, and comparison is the thief of joy. So we begin to compare others' accomplishments, others' achievements. However, we never truly can see people's downfalls, people's setbacks, people's handicaps, all the things that hold them back. However, it's a balancing game, because if you can understand the alchemy of people, you can understand how to neutralize any situation. Every person you meet has a certain level of fire, air, water, and earth within them. Understanding these qualities is key to finding that balance. Once you find that balance within yourself, it's easy to go out into the world and neutralize whatever person or entity you may come across. However, again, this is a process that takes time. And the instant gratification mindset will have you believing that it is not valuable to do the emotional work. However, once you get to a certain place of contentness and you release all that you are depressing, holding down, and onto, you have energy, new energy, to create whatever it is that you desire. And it's truly based upon what you believe you are capable of. If you believe that you are limited and that you can only do with what you have, and that nothing will evolve past that, then nothing will evolve past that. But if you put yourself into the mentality that you are doing the best with what you have currently, and until new information comes along, or until you receive some type of spiritual update from the universe, some download, some revelation, you have to be content in knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. You are doing exactly what you need to do. And if you trust what you feel more often, you will begin to get in sync with your emotional body. And the more in sync you are with your emotional body, you don't have to wait, because by the time something manifests physically, by the time you fall down the stairs and break your leg, there were numerous internal signs, feelings that told you and gave you advanced indications and warnings. However, if you're not used to listening to your body and how you feel and granting yourself rest and peace, knowing that what is meant for you is meant for you and nothing can truly take that away, then you will give yourself the time to decompress, to defragment, and to optimize yourself and get yourself to a level of efficiency where you can work much better, much more rested, and operate at a higher frequency versus trying to operate on 10% charge and going out and then plugging back in on 1% and then getting up to 10% and then going back out. You are not getting fully replenished, and you're just staying in a constant state of lack. So 10% is your 100%. But in reality, you're giving up 90% because you don't want to do the long-term work. You don't want to take the long-term bet on yourself, do the emotional work now, release all the things that you're holding on to so that you can come up in the long term. It's not going to be that Amazon 2-day delivery of peace. But if you put the order in and do the work, at least it's on the way. Why wouldn't you at least want peace to be on the way to you if you are not already at a peaceful state? But if you never order it, it'll never come. You have to command it. You have to call it into your existence. If you do not ask for the help, you will not receive it. Closed mouths don't get fed. It doesn't matter how great you are, how talented you are, how charismatic you are. None of that matters at the end of the day unless you utilize all the gifts and talents that God has bestowed upon you and use them for your benefit. Because by utilizing them for your benefit in alignment with God, you cannot be stopped. When you're on your divine purpose, you can't be stopped, point blank, period. Because you are doing what's best for you, and everything else outside of that is an illusion. It's resistance to see how strong your willpower is. At what point do you bow down? Or do you recognize that you are empowered by the God within you and that you are one with all things? You are water. So you only take the form of what you are poured into, but you do not become that which you are poured into. You do not become the cup. You still are the water, but you take the form of the cup for the time being until you are poured out, until you transform. But this is not an instant process. So you have to reprogram the mind and step away from the instant gratification aspect, because if you do not, it's only going to hurt you long term because you're doing things now blindly and you have the ability to forecast. If you're driving 100 miles per hour and there's just a dead end, you have the ability to forecast and say, if I keep driving at 100 miles per hour, there's nowhere else to go. I'm going to hit this wall. It's a dead end. You're going to crash. You can close your eyes and go faster. But again, I wouldn't advise that. I would advise taking control, slowing down, and enjoying the scenic route. If you know that at the end, you're going to crash either way, at the end, we all die, why not slow down? Why speed there? Why not at least enjoy the sights while you can? We're all going to the same place. Some of us just want to get there Amazon 2-day Prime quick. And some of us is cool with taking the scenic route. I'm cool with enjoying the now because I know what the destination is. So I'm enjoying every aspect of the journey. And I'm enjoying every aspect of discovering myself along the way. Because there is no life better than mine. And you should feel the exact same way. There is no life better than yours. You got the perfect existence, but it's up to you to define it. It's up to you to declare what your legacy will be. So, what is it with legacy? When someone speaks your name, your energy, what are they summoning? What type of energy will someone get if they speak your name? Ask yourself that. Peace.